Okay, so the Washington football team kind of completing out this wide receiver core. I'm not even really sure if they needed Dyami Brown. They have the two Simses, but at the same time, you get a guy who I think honestly, I just think this is great value. I think he's someone who can absolutely be potentially a star receiver. He has incredible upside, and I think at the very least, he can just be your slot guy. He's someone who can definitely get underneath, and I think this is really good value. You obviously went out and got Curtis Samuel, who's kind of this interesting player, can do a lot. And of course, you have Terry McLaurin, who's just a superstar. So getting Dyami Brown, and again, you can have more than three receivers. You're not going to have more than three on the field at one time probably, but you can have more than three receivers on your roster. So getting him, I think there's real logic here, and it's a great value pick. So let's just get into the film study and talk about why I like him as a player. So we'll start off with this play. This will be a pretty good way of showing just what he can really do. I'll show another couple like this, but really his footwork is going to be what I think most people talk about. He also has good acceleration, though, so I kind of want to talk about this play because it'll show both. It'll show both the footwork and the acceleration, but it's going to be a cover 2 zone that he's going up against, and you have a receiver who's kind of running underneath that's not Brown, so that way when Brown cuts over the middle, basically the defensive player in charge of, the corner in charge of covering the bottom of the screen, he has to cover someone who isn't Brown. There could be a gap. That's where you try to throw it to. And watch how Brown, nothing too fancy, just steps into the, gap in coverage. Good job by him slowing down once he gets open. But, this isn't anything too difficult by any means. This is something that you should expect him to be able to do, quite frankly. But watch how he makes the grab, and then see that acceleration and the footwork to juke out a defensive player. That's kind of what you're going to see him do a lot on these plays, is really the footwork and juking people out and good acceleration. So, two very key traits on one play. Like, this one's a great example of showing the footwork, where what's going to happen is, again, basically it's just a simple route just over the middle, nothing too fancy. There's going to be a defensive player for Virginia who could run in and make a tackle. It's first down and goal. For a lot of guys, this is the kind of play where you just gain a few yards. But really, what I want you to focus on is just going to be his footwork. Watch how light on his feet he is, where just, again, it's a bang, bang, bang. Just when he cuts, it's really flawless. So that's really fun to see. He's very good at cutting like that. So that's what I like about him a lot. And it's kind of the thing where, if I'm being honest, at first, I liked him. I didn't love him. I had him as my number 10 overall wide receiver, or pass catcher as a whole, which was 7 wide receiver, because 3 tight ends are ahead of him. But the more and more I see, the more and more I like. And, that those rankings might change. I don't know. I guess I can't change them now. But, there is definitely a lot to like. And really, the main reason why I have him there is just because I think there's a lot of good wide receivers in this draft class. There's also something like this, where you see that Brown is going to be running a route where he eventually cuts over the middle. That's what he's doing. It's a one-on-one matchup. But one of the things I talk about a lot that I love to see is just make things easier on yourself. This is something that does translate to the NFL. When you have good route running and you can make something easier for yourself, which what that means is, well, I could tell you, or I could just show you. So see how Brown's going to cut as though he's going to the outside just a little bit, just to get the defensive back to believe, oh, wait, this might be that kind of route. I should prepare for that. You don't need to go crazy with it. But again, a little thing like this can then mean that when you cut over the middle, you can get way more open. And you see plenty of guys in the NFL just straight up not even try this stuff because they just say, yeah, I'm talented enough, I'll make it work. But the reality is, against NFL talented defensive backs, you need this aspect of your game, and it's promising to see that Brown has it. And he does cut back over the middle, gets wide open, and makes the grab before getting tackled. Really good play by him. So, again, this is the stuff where I've heard people compare him to Antonio Brown. I think that's a bit much, but you see why, because just the play style, there is similarities with, the good footwork. And now for this play, if you want to go back to that acceleration for a second, one of the things that Brown did a really good job at is deep routes, which is a bit concerning sometimes, just because when it comes to a deep route, the reason why I get a little concerned is he's not necessarily the fastest wide receiver. So yes, he was able to win those matchups in college, but in the NFL, I just don't know if he'll be able to get those the same way he was able to in college. So that's a bit concerning. But at the same time, one of the things that running a deep route well does is kind of sets up curl routes, right? So guys are going to play off, which this is looks like a cover 3, so that's why they're playing off. But still, just in general, you're going to play off against someone with a good deep route. And so as you see, Brown is able to, stop. He makes the grab. So a defensive player is now running in, trying to make a tackle. Good job by him, getting in position. All good, yes. But again, what Brown has is the footwork and acceleration. So while typically I don't love talking about a guy's ability to make moves in open space, just because that is something that doesn't always translate. My go-to example is always N'Keal Harry, who made a lot of moves that worked in college, but then once it came to the NFL, didn't really have the footwork to do it against NFL guys, and when that's a big part of your game and it's gone, well, then that's the concern. So that's why he is a bit lower in my rankings. But also, watch what he does. He does make this incredible move that could work in the NFL. So, and good acceleration as well. So that's kind of what you like about him. Yes, it is a bit of a wild card. In the NFL, guys will probably, take a little bit better of an angle and not get fooled like that. But you could still definitely fool some guys too. Like, it's not out of the question by any means. So it's a nice quality to have in a player. Maybe it's not what you want as a guy's main thing, but at least he has it. And okay, let's talk about some go routes right here. This one's a bit different because it's against cover 3 instead of just man coverage, which, man coverage is probably the better example of showing it. But I'm not really going to get too hyped up on that just because, typically what I'm talking about is that he wins these matchups against man coverage, but the issue is that he's not going to have the speed to do it in the NFL. But there's another way you can win a go route, and you don't necessarily have to just blow by a guy and get completely wide open. That helps, but you don't have to do that. Watch, Brown runs this deep route and, doesn't even try anything. There's no fancy move, and this time doesn't get a ton of separation. So again, that's pretty much what he would do a lot in the NFL, except he would actually get separation. However, this time, North Carolina, they're down 10 points, 3.5 minutes left in the game. They have to take some chances, so you're just throwing the ball up here. But watch what Brown's going to do. He just goes up and makes that tough contested catch. So quite frankly, if you can do that, there was also a penalty on the defense, so it works out even, better. That's part of why maybe there wasn't so much separation compared to some other plays. So that's also a factor. But if you can do that, then great. You don't need the separation if you can still make a grab. So it's nice to see that he can do that. Again, I do feel like I have to preface everything I said with Brown of this could potentially not work in the NFL. It's kind of hard to see. So that's kind of what scares me a little bit. But there's so much that is electric in college and could work in the NFL that he's absolutely worth drafting, I think. He's a very interesting player. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him. Honestly, he has wide receiver 1 upside. That's what he has. So that's why you draft him. Yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.